Okay, here we are at Tate Britian for a brand new exhibition opening today, photographing the 80s. We are here with the curator, Helen Little.
Hello, thank you. It's really good to see you. Welcome to Photographing Britain. This is a very large show that we've been wanting to make for several years, and it is looking very expansively at how photography flourished in Britain during the 1980s against a backdrop of huge social and political change. And
It's a beautiful selection of images of quite depressing scenery a lot of the time.
I would say that it's not all doom and gloom. The first room of the show is full of really powerful, hard-hitting social documentary of various protests and moments of activism throughout the 80s, from various anti-racism uprisings, the infamous poll tax riots, the miners' strikes, the efforts of female activists at Greenham Common, the anti-nuclear movement. But then the show takes you on various different journeys through different subjects and terrains for photography. Some of them are looking very closely at the ways in which photographers turned the camera on themselves and photographed their own communities from within in a really joyful, positive way. You'll see many examples of female photographers who, as well as taking pictures, they were writers and activists and were really campaigning for a new kind of documentary photography, one that put people's lives and communities and histories at the forefront of photographic practice, to really sort of turn the idea that in order for a photograph to be truthful, it had to be black and white and of a very sort of straight documentary kind of feel. And so we see a lot of very lively responses and challenges to that style of photography all the way through the show. Colour. And we see a lot of photographers in the show embracing colour to kind of tackle various issues. You get photographers like Anna Fox, who is looking very closely at corporate office culture under Thatcher, so sort of the yuppie culture that was emerging at this time. You get people like Paul Rees using colour, really saturated colour with a lot of flash, to document the new consumerist boom of the period. So the new housing estates, the new out-of-town shopping malls, these new cathedrals of consumption. And so colour became a really important tool for photographers to document the decay, but also the excess of life in Britain during this time.
The room that we're in here shows us inside, like it's the job office basically, and these pictures are taken. The photographer's not even looking because they have to be secret about them, so they're just trying to shoot these candid shots which come out amazingly.
So the work behind me, which is Paul Graham's series, looking at the waiting rooms of social security offices, he didn't have official permission to shoot these environments around the country. So he had to carry his camera sort of quite covertly under his arm, which sort of explains the unusual cropping and the unusual angles that are going on in here. He's also a really important early pioneer of colour photography in Britain. But you'll notice that when you look at these images, there's almost a sort of a paucity of colour. These images are drained of colour because he wanted to sort of reflect the poverty and the sort of the awful environments that people, in their many thousands were being confronted with at this time.
And then kind of counter to that, we've got a series on the wall just there that's it's pictures of rubbish outside, but it's shot in really, the lighting is really nice. It kind of, the pictures are quite warm and beautiful considering the subject matter.
Yeah, I think a lot of photographers, like Keith Arnott, who took photographs of wastelands in the region that he lived in South Wales, a lot of photographers were really trying to find new subjects for photography. I mean, this is a really important moment for photography because it was flourishing, but it wasn't really being exhibited and shown and accepted as an art form at this time. So not only are photographers, finding new ways to disseminate their work, and they did that through brilliant magazines and publications of the time. They did it with, kind of grassroots community organisations. They relied on independent galleries. So we're telling that story, but we're also showing how photographers were trying to find new subjects that were sort of deemed unworthy, not only for photography but for art in general. And so you get a lot of people sort of tackling those sorts of subjects, showing us things that we wouldn't ordinarily kind of expect to see in photographs like this. I'm Helen Little. I'm a curator at Tate Britian, and you're listening to Hoxton Radio.